welcome to the podcast. Finally, we can have this conversation.
What do you mean, finally?
Because I scheduled it that time, you didn't even want to do it. You said you don't come to the podcasts, you media guys, what?
The circumstances were different.
How so? Anyhow, thank you. But whatever, like, so what's changed? How come now you're okay? It's okay for you to come have a conversation.
I don't want to get into that.
Okay, let me start now with the hard, what I consider to be harder conceptions. Do you think what you're doing with TV is good?
What do you mean by? I need a particular question.
Okay. In general, do you think the concept of TV is ideal because it influences us in a lot of what we do?
Yeah. There's this idea that TV is dead, but especially in Uganda and in Africa in general, TV is still a very big part of our culture because the smartphone penetration is not as high as people assume it is. I mean, we're looking at about 13.97 million cellular connections and about 2.9 million actual internet users. It's not as high as you assume it is. I mean, out of 49, maybe 50 million people, if you only have 2.9 million internet users, most people are relying on TV and radio to get their information.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
But the whole concept, there's a big bone when you look at world over the scale. There's a big rise of podcasts and channels, people thinking that they can rather give out the information themselves than to
on-demand content.
Yeah. Than to get curated content from.
I think there is space for both of them to exist. I don't think that one is a competition for the other. I think that for the several different forms of entertainment, I don't think of entertainment as, okay, not entertainment, let's call it information as a vacuum of, or it has to be one way or the other. I mean, the more it extends, the more there is for everyone to consume, because you might not like to watch TV, but there's people who are dying to watch a particular show and they actually wait on it every day, and so.
Okay, yeah, but with the shows, I think, because most of the shows TV gets are not really like TV. There are shows that are given to TV too.
What do you call TV?
Of the news about TV. I don't know how
current
much
affairs?
you affect. Yeah, current affairs, news, and normal programming, because you realize there's like a schedule in the morning. There's a talk show. The talk shows and they're getting people inspired. Then maybe lunchtime there's some music. There's a way they program even how people feel like they have to work. That in the morning I have to work because people are serious. Even what's on screen is serious. And in the evening there's just music. Yeah, now like for me, my most busiest hours are from the afternoon. That is when I would sit on my PC, probably edit some of the stuff, push it out.
But you see, that is a bit of a misconception. I mean, there is such a thing as dayparting in TV. Look it up. It's a whole concept. But you see, with the growth of television into brands breaking into several different televisions and people niching, some of these concepts don't really apply anymore. I mean, if you're looking at a current affairs TV station, that's the framework, what you just broke down. But there's entertainment TV stations, there's sports TV stations, and they all don't do the same thing. They might try to fit into the structure of they'll wake up in the morning, even a sports station, and try to have a talk show in the morning or whatever. But I think that with the trend of where we are going with media and everything, the framework is only working for that particular segment.
Do you feel like working for TV, again, I'm asking you about TV because I don't work for TV. Do you think like working for TV has to also affect your opinion on things, and specifically working for under TV, let's say your employer? I've also seen this with your other public employers, people who have decided to be vocal. Do you think your employer should affect your personal opinion on your perspective of life?
It's a 50-50 thing. I think that on a absolutely human rights perspective, somebody should not be able to restrict what you can or can't say. But then on the other side, you need to understand that because you are vocal and because people know who your employer is, sometimes often what you say becomes a reflection of your employer. So that's where that's where the trouble is. So finding the middle ground between, oh, I am me, and then my employer is so and so.
So do you also feel like now, with that information, the employer can use that to their advantage to make sure, controversy really brings in numbers. People are going to, when you look at how the modern day people push out their content, they'll look for bits. Actually, this is even with shows, the programs on TV. They look for controversy bits, then they'll push that out to attract people to watch, let's say, the language.
Repurposing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the attention span of the normal human being has grown significantly smaller because of the several different screens. I mean, I was watching a comedy show recently and someone was joking about how many screens there are between a human being, and you have your Apple Watch, then you have your phone, then you have your iPad, then you have your MacBook, then you have your TV, then you have your smart fridge. And it's like there's so many screens, there's so many things to look at the same time. It's very hard to get somebody to focus on something for 20 minutes and just watch just that one thing, unless they're absolutely interested in it.
Now, do you think employers also now play a part to people's personal characters, because to push them to say agitating things, because at the end of the day, when you say something agitating, it's going to drive the traffic back to them, because now it's a game of numbers.
Max, I see what you're doing, and no.
Okay.
I see what you're doing. No.
But really, it's interesting that I would want to have
let me be absolutely clear about this.
I'd want your opinion as
let me be absolutely clear. If you want to ask a question about mixed media, there's a man whose job is paid to answer questions. Desire Derek Ford Mugumisa. He actually on Twitter is what Didi Mugumisa. Yeah, he will answer any questions you have. But I see what you're doing.
No, not really. Not even to actually get the TV. I'll tell you for a fact, when I was looking through why I should have the conversation with you, so I grouped into the stages. Like, this man is in production. Yeah. First of all, you're an audio engineer. You're in the back end. This is why, to me, your opinion actually matters. It's not clickbait or what. And it might seem like you like that because you probably think that is the intention, but it's not. This conversation is going to drive away so from the TV and so much. But this was also important that I'll get an insight. There's an opinion on how, because this is not just in reference to your brand, where you're working. This is in general. I've seen it happen when a few of my friends were even working for other media houses. What the opinion is somehow influenced because you see eyeballs. The employer wants eyeballs. My next question was going to actually be, is your employer now paying extra for that? Because that's a service besides someone being employed to do their job. They're now helping the employer. I don't know if it's actually marketing or branding. That was that.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
There's a new culture, and sometimes I think of it as a disease of everyone believing that they are a brand.
Yeah.
Like everyone believes that they are a brand. So in that perspective, I want you to pick what you can and leave what you can't. But often your employer in any media house, doesn't matter where you work, it doesn't matter whether it's BBC or wherever, the media house that you work for is often, it is much bigger than you are, very often. And often they don't need your support in order to... Yeah. So in most cases, it's people using the clout of the media house in order to gain numbers for themselves. But I have not experienced it personally that someone has been asked to say something.
No, to me that makes a lot of sense in that. People just using the media house to grow their personal brands instead. Okay. Yeah. Let's switch away from media house, because I see that some bullshit for you. You think I'm on some agenda, but no. Let's talk about music in general. Okay. 4x4. What's the whole concept?
Actually, we don't do 4x4 anymore. We closed the show.
I thought actually there was, besides the show, I thought it was like a concept you probably can continue.
Yeah. No, but the radio show itself is not happening anymore. It's some particular reasons. Yeah. But First of all, 4x4 in the name itself is a house music concept, because house music has a rhythm setting of 4x4 beats. So that's why the concept is called 4x4. And the whole reason why we started it in the first place was because like I don't know, like other shows, like I don't know what's that show on Capitol called with DJ Nyoy. Is it called Rough Cuts? Like Regularize It, like all these other shows. The intention is for people who enjoy a particular genre of music to come together and just enjoy their thing. And often it even becomes annoying to those particular people when they are in their space and they're having fun with their thing, and then people from outside comes like, oh, why don't you switch the music and play this? Like, yo, my guy, I don't go to Thrones on a Friday and ask them to play Black Coffee, because I understand that that's the space they operate in. So why do you come to our space and then want to enforce your rules on us?
The way we are very, I don't know if the word is conservative. How do you pick a niche to know that I can faithfully just appeal to these kinds of people and what they want, and I am comfortable with that?
Is there a bit with the internet? From the start with the message boards and the forums was you could always find your tribe. And 4x4 for me, house music is from childhood has always been my thing. And so me finding and putting together the show was not a thing of, oh, we are looking at this target market and these people. No. It was me. Thing. I love my thing. Okay. I have a few friends. We'll have our thing. Let's put together a show. So I talked to the people, to the powers that be, and like, oh, this seems like a good idea. Let's do it. Yeah.
Now, what informs house music? What do you think is the beauty with house music that all this other music, EDM, reggae, that, for me, this is why my passion chooses to adopt to this type of, is it a feeling? What is it about house music?
I like music in general. Yeah. I just have a thing for house music because I think I just like the consistency. But then also because it's quite dynamic, contrary to popular belief. Because we're looking at 48, maybe 50 subgenres right now, with ambient house, with trance, with what you say DDM, the one that no one really knows lies here out there, Mapiano, there's Afrotech, there's so it's and all this music sounds different, and like I know people.
How does a genre come up? Like, because now I'm seeing DJs mixing live beats on sets, doing their beats. Is it like I need to sit in my meditation way, think of some shit and come mix it and I can name that?
No. I don't think that's how genres come. I think genres are born from people being influenced by other people's sounds, and then over time it becomes a thing, and then you have 20, you have 50 people doing it, 100, 1,000, and like, oh yeah, we like that sound, then we name it something. I don't think it's somebody sitting somewhere and like, you know what, let me make this a sound and name. I mean, there's probably a guy doing that. I mean, there's always that one narcissistic man who thinks he can change the world by themselves. But it's really a compilation of several different people tapping into the same sounds, and then it becomes a thing.
Now, as a DJ, how do you come up with the beats? How do you package, like, you know what, I am now, this will appeal to the people? If
one of the major things I've always loved about house is not about what is popular. Of course, some subgenres are. I mean, with EDM and a few others, it's you need to play the latest track, you need to play the remix of this, but often, especially with genres, subgenres like Afrotech, DJs are tastemakers. I mean, people, and I'm watching Dakap or Shimza or whoever, and he's playing a set of 15 tracks, and all of them are unreleased.
Yeah.
So every time somebody comes on the set, they're introducing you to something you've never heard of. So it's not. And of course, there's a possibility that you wouldn't like it. And that's okay, because I've always told people that the creative space is very subjective. It's okay if you don't like something, just don't bash it. Like, if you don't like it, then just turn it off and try something else. But So how you pick the sounds is often a personal thing. Like me, I like these sounds, and if I listen to one track, it's like, so because I'm on email lists and people are sending me tracks every day from Russia, from South Africa, from where. So you go through all of them and like, you know what, I like these 2 tracks, so put these. I like this, and this doesn't sound like it's my thing. And so the people that follow particular DJs in the house space are following them because they trust that, oh, I know his sound and I like it. Yes.
So it's entirely on your taste of things, and
Yes.
that is what you trade to the people. That, you know what?
Yeah.
I just need to keep improving my taste, and my people will keep liking that.
Yeah, and it's actually quite like funny with the genre, because if you just keep going and playing the same set all over and over again, 4th or 5th time, you're like, man, that guy. Like, I had that yesterday.
How do you read a crowd and know that, okay, now they're vibing to it and they're just not hype men, they're just not my boys, and they have to support it? And then, people are like,
not sure. Yes, man. Like everything, like
I know
everything.
that my people are kawa. The music I did, my set was kawa.
Like everything, it's experience, man. It's experience. You learn the body language of people. You know when you drop a track and you see how someone reacts. Like, yeah, they don't like this. But then sometimes you have to give the track a minute or so in order for them to
adjust
come
to
into it. And sometimes they don't. And again, like I said, it's really okay. Yeah, it's often it's a testing to see, will they like this? They don't like it. Okay, I'll remove this. Or I'll play it again tomorrow, or maybe I'll play it again later in the night when there's a few more drinks in them, and we'll see.
Now, I've seen that the whole DJ thing is big now. Almost every TV show must have a DJ. Almost, they're now headline shows strictly for DJs. Actually, I think this year alone, we've had more DJs coming than any other performing. So the industry itself is out there. Like, you can comfortably tell your father that, you know what, I'm a DJ. Okay, I don't know if my father might allow that. I told him as a DJ, I told him he would disown me also.
I think it's just something that is growing in Uganda, but internationally, the phenomenon of DJs headlining shows has always been there.
Here, basically for here.
Look at shows like Ultra and shows like Tomorrowland, and it's just
Boiler Room
DJs,
itself.
Boiler Room. Yeah, it's okay. It's a concept that is growing here now, and I love it because now there's an appreciation for DJs, because it's not just a guy who is standing behind the artist, yeah. So it's I don't think it's there yet, but it will.
What do you think
there.
is missing? Is it unity? I was listening, there was a show I was producing for someone, I think it's called Sarita DJ. So amongst the things he was relating to in the time, the person who was hosting it is someone who has been DJing from back then. So I think they were telling people that in their time, they had a lot of disunity, and that affected the industry so bad. But right now, at least we have seen the progress. It's something. People are stepping up, people are headlining shows. Is it still that people? And when people speak of unity, what do they mean? Do they mean that they need to come to me?
As human beings in general, there'll always be discord. With any relationship in general has those issues, but the unity does help the industry, and not just for DJs, for everybody. I mean, you see it with the Nigerians, and I keep on telling people that one of the main reasons that the Nigerians have been able to grow their industries is the unity of, if Wizkid drops today, you go to all the Nigerian artists' Instagram pages, everyone is posting about, Wizkid just dropped, It's that feeling of unity of, it's not you against me, it is we are in this thing together. But it also helps in the pricing thing, because I was watching a podcast recently about they were talking about hip hop in the 80s and in the 90s, and we're talking about how why DJs fell off, especially in hip hop. And it was literally that thing of we are not together, it is me, it is you. Because originally we had groups, we had the Wu-Tang Clan, you had and everybody else. So you had DJs, you had beatboxers, you had dancers, and then the rappers. So they would make up the group, which should basically.
Why aren't you guys doing that?
Those are the elements of hip hop. It's a question you have to ask the mates when it comes on here.
Here's a whole podcast. Bye.
But-
Yeah.
But what kept happening is capitalism crept in, and then now it became, now we have $1 million, and now I have to share with the beatboxers. I have to share with, and then in your head as a performer, often you think to yourself, and you're like, but I'm the big actor. Am I sharing money with so and so and so and so and so? So that disunity just breaks everything up to a point where it's now me, I have to make all the money. Why are all these guys getting a cut of my money? Which in the short term will make a lot of money for you as an individual, but the industry as a whole just gets stunted a bit, because then you have 1, 2, 3, or maybe 4 big heads that will be the headline acts for the next 12 years in an industry, because they are the ones everyone is looking at.
So one of my business partners is also into they would love to stay private all the time. He's also into the business of managing DJs. But he's talked about, just because what he does with him, he profiles the DJs, tries to brand them out, gadgets them up, does all that stuff, and then looks out to venues. So because what he sells to the venues is not just the DJ, he also sells the whole sound system. Yeah. So he comes to like your bar, pimps up your sound, gives you better deals, then also tells you that I'm going to give you this type of DJ who actually has a crowd, and all you have to do is to maybe commit to us, pay us like 6 months up front, and we go into like contractual form. But most of business owners have failed to always see the vision of that and how that is helpful to them. They have instead rather opted to broker side deals with the DJs, and of course DJs, some of them are not really doing well. So if the business owner tells you that instead of paying 1.2 to this guy per month on some shit, I can give you like a 200 bob on a night or something, and you chikuba netumalako. And now that is affecting his business. But his goal is actually really, really good, that if the Unity was something, he has access to probably the Apple guys, I don't know the industries that make those scratch things, but he has that as well.
Pioneer.
Yeah, he has that, and he's like an authorized dealer. So that's the deal he's giving the DJs. He's trying to work with that. You know what? But for this to work, we have to be united. We have to you have to come onto our program, and it's okay for you not to work for these people if they don't commit to like contract basis or to
exactly. And it goes back to exactly what I was saying, is if it's every man for himself and God for us all, then it cannot grow, because like you say, it will continue to be that 200k instead of the collective, let's say 5 or 6 million they could pay to everyone together. But you see, one of the biggest issues also with our industry as a whole is we do not understand that there's a big difference between music and music business. Two entirely different things. And I keep on telling you, but those are two entirely different things. And very, very often, the artist or the musician or the DJ or whoever feels that they can do the business end of it. Some can, I've seen.
But most can't, because that's a challenge I've also had. I realized the business now of the whole videography and is different from just sitting here and having the equipment and giving out the cameras. It's a whole other thing. You must have experts into it. You guys are going to come up with your marketing plan and do entirely different, and you do something based on that's literally my whole step this year. It's like the business has to be different from now the person.
Yeah, it's very true. And again, it goes back to the money issue. I mean, capitalism is one of our biggest impediments in any business anywhere. It's somebody looking at hiring a PR guy, hiring a person who handles finances. It's like, no, this is too much money. I can handle all this myself. And then you end up juggling 6 balls and dropping all of them at the same time.
Interesting. Have you imagined of solutions? Do you look at it long term that, you know what, if I get in such and such a position, maybe I can have some commanding authority? Because I've seen groups come up, DJ Association of Uganda, it failed, I've seen all those small, but I think with the associations here, they don't really work. I've seen the music thing, someone, I've just been reading my Instagram feed, big guy was stole 5 million from Cindy, who is the president. That's a rumor. I do not know if it's true. So that is, even the collectiveness, for you as an individual. Also, you have had that experience. You've worked in media, so you've probably gained in some social capital there. you can stand in a position and be like, you know what? At least for the young people, I see you're putting on TNT, who's another young DJ. Probably you're supporting, and I don't know if it's like collective. Something
TNT,
like that.
TNT is an old friend, man. Someone I've known for like 20 years. So
yeah. So now, like you get TNT yourself, and very many. Do you feel like there's a proposed plan? Something we can discuss. See if
I could consult on something like that. I mean, I don't think it's something that I want to put my energy in at the moment. However, in the house space, it's something we do. Collectives are a very big part of who we are, and that's why you see that on very many shows, you will not have 1 or 2 DJs playing on the house event. You'll have 6, you have 8, because it's a collective. It's people come together and like, you know what? I have my people, you have your people, you have your people, you have your people. Let's put this show together. Let's get all our people together, and then I can tap into your crowd, you can tap into my crowd, and then that's how we all grow. Yes.
Interesting. Now I've seen those other DJs come around. What does it take? What's the risk? How do you bet on knowing that, you know what, if I bring DJs who are playing amapiano? First of all, just to my very good friend Suna Ben. I'm saying this because
a
it's
living legend.
Yes.
A living legend.
It's actually my friend.
Bad
Someone I
man.
have seen. I didn't know at some point was a DJ. I remember as a tan boy, as doing some works for some uncle of mine from Masaka that side. That's when I met that man. Now I've gone back to see him and the crowds he pulls. And I'll tell you this for a fact. His art is something I believe cannot last long. It's going to really fall off very, very fast, because I feel like it's a luck kind of thing. And also where I come from, the Masaka people really are just collectively supportive, mostly if it's one of their own. There's a lot of that playing in that, which is okay to take advantages. But I feel like because no one else can do what he's doing, that means it's entirely...
I don't think we should downplay.
I am not downplaying the DJ.
We should not downplay the skill of DJ Sunaben.
Not downplaying the DJ. I'm saying his art is non-sustainable.
Why?
I have told this to him in person.
Why?
Probably because no one else is doing what he's doing. That's something.
Isn't that
yeah,
the essence
you know the
of
thing with
longevity
that?
if nobody else is doing what you're doing? I mean, think about it like that.
If something is entirely dependent on one person,
let me give you perspective.
They can get tired of it.
Let me give you perspective. One of the longest lasting DJs, and probably still one of the highest paid, I have it on good account, that is still in the top 5. He's been here for like 20 years, is DJ Shiro. He's been doing the same thing for the last 15 years. Still kills it. I know for a fact that man is not charging less than $1 million shillings a night. How many DJs in Kampala are charging that much? And I think because you live in the utopia of middle to high-end Kampala, you believe that what you like is what which is not the case. I mean, the fact that he's doing shows in Masaka with 5,000 people and he's the headline act tells you something. But also on the other end,
would you adapt to his type of act since he has a crowd of 5,000 people?
I've never seen my creative as a thing about numbers. But let me finish my point.
Okay.
The other thing that we forget about BTL, below the line people, and I don't like that term, but there's no other way for me to get it across. The thing that we forget about those people is their loyalty is unwavering. When those people support you, they do support you.
I for a fact is I'm actually going to attend his thing on Easter just because I want first of all get some content from him, then just because it's him. Yeah. Like I am, and I want to. I feel like he's someone whose journey you just can't skip out. But my
because
point of
look at Chameleon. Chameleon has one basic functional model of he takes 6 months off, maybe at the beginning of the year. He makes 1 or 2 tracks, tries to push. One of them normally becomes a hit, and that's one track he'll push the whole year. In comparison to our other friends, I mean the rappers and whoever dropping tracks every 2 months or so, it's they're not getting the same numbers. But the difference here is Chameleon knows that once I drop that one track, once I drop Vumilia, and that guy in Chikuvo who is counting his 20 million at the end of the day from shopping, from people buying from his shop, will love that song, and that's the one song he'll play in his car for a whole year. And anywhere that they say Chameleon is performing, they will be there.
Do you think we're going to come to see a time where a man like Suna can headline an event in Kampala? Because you see now that is his crowd. He's appealing to. There's so many factors, and it's okay. He could keep his people and be like, you know what, that's. But he's now doing radio in Kampala because I think he switched to Bukede. At first he was doing group, yes. Yeah. First he was doing some radio in Masaka for a very long time. I think that's where he grew his most fan base. But now he's in Bukede. That means the Kampala crowd is here. Do you think people like the events you're always headlining? You probably organize some of them, like Zanzi Sundays or any other. Do you think you can put him there?
For Sunaben?
Yeah.
No, that's not the space he operates in. I mean,
if his craft is appealing to a lot more people that side, this is big conversations by ordinary people. Besides anything, everyone is always ordinary, right?
Don't misunderstand what I said. Look at it this way. You said you were a turn boy before, right?
Yeah.
Most of those tracks are diesel tracks.
Yeah.
And they work, they beautifully function, but if you put petrol in them, they will not work. Yeah. That doesn't mean that petrol doesn't work. It's just that it's a diesel car. That's what it is. So, like I said, Living Legend, what he's been able to do, not very many DJs in this for the next 10 or 20 years in Uganda will be able to do. It's just that there are some spaces where he will not be appreciated, and I'd rather not put him in that position because that kind of messes with your psyche to make you doubt yourself. And he's doing amazing where he is.
Where people didn't just appreciate what you played.
Yeah, happens all the time.
How do you deal with that? You just move on?
Yeah.
Like normally? Okay. In the beginning, two people. We are two people that host this podcast. Hosted with a friend of mine called Kenneth. At some point, but I entirely produce it myself, so I even decide that he will have a conversation with this person. Now, I've been scheduling guests for him because I really love his conversation. That is one thing. I am a big fan of the conversations he's had. He's also very well read. He likes to read a lot of books. So, but he was affected by numbers in the beginning because entirely I did not want to sit and be behind the camera. As I told him, that is an easy thing to do. Sometimes it's related to personalities and it doesn't really matter. You just sit there, have the conversations people will pick up. So yeah, we tried the influencer bit where you would bring on an influencer. They don't really have the type of conversation you might want to be interested in, but because they will have the eyeballs, so you'll have them sit and you'll push out the content. Then we'll bring people to the channel. I realized the number thing is just that. All you have to do is stare at them. They mean nothing. If the conversation I've had with you is satisfying enough, I don't really care. So I don't now care if people watch the podcast or not. I just really treasure the conversations I've had with different people. But now my team, because I've told you now it's beyond just a podcast, it's a whole business. My team gets affected. I see the lead operations asking people numbers, how are you pushing the content, what. I'm like, okay, now it's really something to them that they have to push the content, and they're now affected. People are demoralized. The videographer probably thinks the video is boring and they put it out there. And it has never really been about that, but it has to be about that. So you can't just walk away from a dull crowd and not get some type of...
In digital, it's something we call Vanity Metrics.
Yeah.
And it's very easy for you to get swept up in impressions. And you see, for something like YouTube, what you should be looking at is watch time. Because you could have 1 million views where somebody clicked the video, watched the first 5 seconds of it and then turned it off. But what personally, and I know that it's a business, so some of these things also come into play. But for me personally, what would be more important is how many people watched the entirety of the show, or how many people watched until I don't know, halfway, because clicks are easy to get. And it's very, you could just hire some bots or something and fund some numbers. It's very easy to do. There are people in India with their 1,000 phones farming views like a problem. Yeah, it's but for me particularly, it would be watch time, because the engagement and people might forget. And it's a saying, I hope I'm saying it right. People might forget what you said, people might forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And if somebody watches this and then they feel a certain way about it, that feeling is going to stay there for a long time.
I've seen a lot of this DJ who has made a lot of money just mixing online.
Ericom.
Yeah. No, forget Ericom, the Ugandan, but I don't know if Ericom has made a lot of money. Also,
He says he has.
Yeah.
I don't have access to his dashboard.
Keep out
So I don't
the
know.
Suna Ben crowd. How come people didn't appreciate him?
Ericom.
Appreciated Suna Ben. Yet,
Yeah, but Eric wasn't Ericom living in the UK or something at that point? He was. But you see, also, and that also feeds into he was on YouTube. People in Masaka have internet, yes, but how many of them are watching content off of YouTube? The difference is Suna Ben was a guy agenda kulima. He has his scanner, and Suna Ben is on the radio.
Suna Ben is telling stories in the music.
And yes,
is that something
that
a
is,
DJ
yeah, that's an integral part of it. But my point is, before I get to that, access.
Yes.
Is the access to Suna Ben was and still is much easier than it is for DJ Ericom, especially for people on that side of the country.
Man had a
Yes.
show in Butambala. Have the content there, it's crazy. But still, yeah. What was that question? The man is telling a whole story in the music. Isn't he killing the music? Because I've had a lot of people also complain. I think who was it? At some point, I personally like a man because he used to talk in the music. And this is personal feeling, and this is still my podcast. I can really put my opinion here. I didn't like him.
For clarity, I have no opinions about
like
any
that.
DJs.
Yeah.
It's
not.
I want to be.
You can have an opinion. We're in a world. That's the other question. I even put it down. Why can't we voice our opinions? And no one should get offended because they've been offended. Because everyone gets offended at some day. But the man is telling stories. That was the question.
Yeah.
Isn't he killing the music?
Ricky Gervais, one of my favorite quotes from him is, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. But anyway, Suna Ben.
Okay,
I think we just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
DJs telling stories.
And a lot of talk time. Is it something? Is it really relevant? What's the point of it in a nightclub? Because the whole point of maybe the hype, I get a hype man, but I also don't really like DJs that have a lot of hype man. Because mostly when I'm out and about, I'm probably high and I want to keep the feeling. I don't want a distraction. I don't want to now pay attention to someone. Because when you start speaking, automatically my brain is forced to
This is a personal opinion, and I could be wrong, but the way that DJing started in from the beginning was you had a DJ, then you had an MC.
Yeah. So
this is what eventually grew to be hip hop, and I use hip hop as a baseline a lot because it's an integral part of our culture as quote unquote new age young people, and. So you had a DJ who would play the music, they were playing soul music, but they're picking samples of the music and picking the hyped part of the record and playing it back to back over and over and over and over. And then eventually, after a while, of course, it became a bit dull. So that's when you get an MC to come on and then talk to the crowd and then whatever. So I think this is something that started from way back. And it's an integral part of the culture of the music of DJs will have MCs. On the house scene, we don't do it. But that's an entirely different conversation on why it is not done.
Yeah.
But in other spaces, I think that there's a place for MCs. Because, one, they also have their own crowds very often. I mean, look at people like Didan, look at people like Code, look at people like... they have their own contribution. But of course, like with everything in life, everything has to be in moderation. If you're talking all through the track, then there's going to be a problem. Because as much as I like you and I came here because of you, sometimes I also want to hear the music. So for me, it's to find a balance between the two so that your contribution does not become a distraction to the other thing.
Now, that's interesting. One of the other things I had actually really forgotten about. I've had a few artists on this podcast. I've always asked them about how they control their music. And to them, usually, because they don't really understand the business of music. It's about the fame first. Yeah, the fame controls, then the money.
There are very many famous broke people.
Yeah, but the ideal to them is let me get famous and then I can have some authority over my career, which is probably not the case. But since they don't have control, they would love to just have their music played out there. And that is what happens. They just circulate it. But then that means that there's a lot of piracy that has to go on for them to get famous. And you people then contribute to the piracy because I don't know how you get the music. I don't know if you just download the music and then play it, if it's a song you like, or a thing where there has to be a way to include a mechanism where the artist can get something because they're creating from you, the DJ, who is also contributing so much to make sure the artist gets somewhere and the people have fun, but some reverse way of control that at least what the DJ is playing is some authorized music from a one Viper ranking, and they're just not benefiting off that. Because apparently that is the issue with Ericom. When Epas was saying all the time, people like him have just been getting money from, because for him he was charging, I think, for his sets or something. That's the person I was seeing to charge.
Ericom?
Yeah.
No, he was getting money from our YouTube views.
For people's music?
Yeah.
Something like that. Now, how do we put the control and just prevent a DJ from doing that? What do you think about the piracy in general?
It's a bit of a touchy subject. I've tried to have the conversation on Twitter before and I got attacked.
Let's have the conversation.
It's intricate because you see, DJs really contribute to pushing music
a lot.
Almost a lot.
They're the biggest contributors to pushing music.
And you see, the problem with new age managers is there's this assumption that I'll just make my music and drop it and then we'll push it on Twitter. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you could get some numbers on there, but these people have more eyeballs and more access than your Twitter
and they get
account.
People in the right times to listen to the music.
Yes,
you putting on Twitter doesn't guarantee.
But then and then it also goes back to the copyright law thing. And I've always told people, like, I'm a big fan of the idea. I just don't think that as an industry, especially in Uganda, we are there yet. We will get there. I just don't think we are there yet because you see,
we need to.
Okay, what is going to happen is this, and this is again personal opinion.
Yeah.
What is going to happen is this: if you try to put up a mechanism where you're charging DJs to play your music, what is going to happen is only the big people are going to make money.
Yeah,
it's exactly what happened with the streaming wars, with Tidal, with the Spotify. That's exactly what is going to happen. Is why would I pay? I don't know. I don't want to mention names, but why would I pay a particular small guy to play his music when I can just pay Chameleon, who very often and more likely his song will be a bigger hit than this guy's song. So I keep on telling people that, you see, as even internationally, there's no money in streaming, and that is the simple truth. And artists need to accept that there's no money in streaming.
People don't make streams. The guys have been pushing
on
numbers.
Spotify, on Apple Music. You could have numbers, but there's no money. You're making what? I don't know how many
Spotify
cents per stream.
Yeah,
how many streams would you need for you to make $1 million shillings? And these are streams that you have had 500,000 streams over a period of 6 months. I appreciate the idea of preserving.
So then why is there a fact that the new narrative is people should really? Because actually that is my proposed solution to control. People switch into the streams where you can control your streams and know how much.
When we started
like lockdown.
When we started this conversation,
not performing. Yeah.
When we started this conversation, I gave you numbers of how many people have access to the internet. Again, another thing that we forget, because you live in the utopia of Kampala, you live in Chisasi, Chanja, or Muyenga, you believe everyone has access to the internet. That is not the case. Radio City, Next Radio, Galaxy, whoever, those are the people that are really pushing music. Recently, TikTok too, but again, that also feeds into the 2.9 million people who have access to the internet. So you need you need the DJs. You need the DJs to push the music. And it might be a high cost to pay, but sometimes that's a cost we have to pay. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it as an artist. If you feel like it is important for you to preserve your art and not push it, then do so.
Guys, if artists were united and they stopped the industry of their music until it's in some control format, because I believe the DJs then will have to download whatever music they have to download from their streams, because the artists now will have centered control of the music and they can understand it. But this comes from starving it. Maybe will take your music elsewhere, like what Eppas was doing. You do exact same thing Eppas did with 1 million artists, probably the biggest, to just show the light to the young ones growing.
I worry that because of the internet, people will just opt to listen to the Nigerians if you try and stuff them out.
And maybe be dictatorial enough to ban Nigerian music.
Please, even if the government could get involved, we have VPNs for that. It's grown too big now for it to be a thing that you can step back.
What's the way forward for the artists not to feel cheated by the DJs? Because now DJs are actually rising way higher. You'd see from COVID. But also COVID should have taught us a thing, because now people are not performing. Apparently, at some point there were no weddings. So there's also when you look, I don't want, because I don't have accurate numbers, but I've noticed there's more DJs also going to weddings than people now getting real artists perform. They'd rather really get a known DJ to their wedding than to get an artist. Now it's a preference. Usually it's always both. DJ artist, but now I see more DJs. People will take an Aluda or whoever.
Aluda at a wedding?
I've seen him once, but this other DJ, Brian, I think all the weddings are.
I think our best wedding DJ without a question is Selector J.
Yeah, Cass, Selector. I've seen all those guys do weddings, yeah. But now, right now, someone would rather have Cass and not have Chameleon.
Yeah, because Chameleon wants 5 million.
Money or not money, I do not know what Cass asks. But now I'm looking at Chameleon could be a heavyweight with the money, so it could be. But yeah, that's the thing. I'd rather have the DJ. Because first of all, they're going to stay a longer time. They're going to entertain people for a longer time. They're going to give people the vibe. Than an artist who's going to come perform there
and leave.
Yeah,
that's the issue. I mean, you need entertainment. Our wedding is what, 5-6 hours.
So now the artists might feel some type of way that, you know what, but our DJ back at a wedding, they're the same guys who are making more money on my song. Because now the only reason music they play to weddings, very predictable music, all the love songs. A DJ needs to just.
And some breakup songs that we don't know are breakup songs. Stories I'm using when I'm at weddings and they play a breakup song and people are jamming. I'm like, yo, my guy, you hear that? I haven't like weddings, but sometimes it's just hilarious when I'm there. It's like, are you sure about this? I have to be honest with you. I haven't thought extensively about the middle ground between the DJ and the artist. And I agree with you, there should be a middle ground. But I don't think that it should be an absolute Berlin Wall of don't. It's that the segregation will just cause further breaks in the industry. Now, I know that there's a smart guy somewhere on YouTube watching this who has thought about an idea, and they should put it in the comments. I just haven't come up with a good one of how to find the balance between the two. So for right now, you think it should stay like it? DJs access the music. I think it can. I think it can be better. I just don't know how.
No. Yes. Okay. That's fair enough. Let's go to the music itself.
You do know I'm not just a DJ, right?
Yeah. You are production house. Please introduce yourself. No, you're a producer. Please introduce yourself and tell us about you. That will inform a lot of the extension now.
I mean, that's normally a hard question. Introduce yourself and talk about yourself. I like to think of myself as a multi-dimensional creative because I photograph, I DJ sometimes. I've made music. It's not something I actively pursue because it requires a lot of attention, and considering my job, my day job and everything, it's not something that I don't think it's something that I would execute very well because there's too much going on. Previously, until about 2 months ago, maybe, I don't know, I was the creative director of Next Media Services, but then
You're promoted.
yes, so now I'm in tech actually. So we have the streaming app, and I'm head of operations, but also the GM. Yes.
The creatives.
So
that's the conversation. And I had it. Let me go to it.
let me see what else. Mwami Media Services, we curate spaces for alternate entertainment. We're trying to find a space for different creatives in the industry to showcase their art, and this is
That is what, and I'll tell you this from the bottom of my heart. I have listened to everyone. The Motive guy is my good friend. It's
Motive is Japheth CK. Yes.
There's, I think, Katia, he doesn't want to be mentioned in this. The guys bring your ideas and we'll put them to life, and everyone else, and everyone is looking for content, but no one is willing to pay people for content. There are a lot of content creators. There's so many YouTube. Corona. You would blame consistency and whatnot, but even these boardrooms, because me, I have a significant amount of content besides just this. I have some other stuff I'm producing. But when you sit in the meetings with people, no one sees the value for it. No one wants to know what.
At Mwami Media, we don't ask people for their content. We have no. It's you see, when you look at it in only one perspective, on the creative side, it's very unfair, and it is. But also on the business end, it's
on the distribution end.
On the distribution end, it's a bit, and you've been in the bottom. It's very intricate. It's very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. Ideally, I would like to be like Netflix and pay Lukman. I don't know how much they paid him, but I'm sure they paid him a fair amount of money.
We actually have another guy now writing for Disney, Raymond Malinga.
Oh yeah, I saw. I mean, Kongs, man, Ugandans are doing amazing. And if I had the money, I would like to have paid Lukman his value. But the fact is this: considering the space that we're operating in the country, the resources to distribute the content makers are not as much as they should be. And of course, there are people that are stealing from the content creators. I've been in that space before where people have stolen my things. And
that's everywhere.
Yeah, it happens. But also we need to understand that there isn't much in that space too, especially if you're creating alternative content. And also, I don't like the word alternative, but in comparison to what main media massive is doing. Because you see, you have shows like, I don't know what it is called, Sanyo Mizigo Express, on Power Magic and all those shows. Those people are coming from a pool of money that is like Multi-Choice Uganda, Multi-Choice Africa. They have the resources that they have to fund projects like that are much, much bigger. The pool is much bigger than it is for a Ugandan, space to do. And so they can afford to cash out. But I can tell you for a fact that they're not making that money back. It's a brand affinity thing of we are paying you this amount of money because the value that we're going to get is we're going to get the eyeballs. But when it comes to actual money back, they're not making the money. So first, as a creative, you also have to understand that running a space, running an app, running or whatever it is, you run a business. You know that the operational costs are really, really, really high, like ridiculously high.
Crazy.
And so you make a small amount of money, and then with Jacko operational costs, what is left? And as much as you try to be fair to share with everyone, there's little to nothing left. Now, is that fair to the content creator? Of course not. And I always say, man, to try and create content and aim higher than just than just inside the country, because you're more likely to make money there than here. But I can tell you that it is going to be very hard for someone to give in this country. Okay, now that he has the Netflix backing, it's going to be hard for other people to say find somebody like, I don't know, Patrick Vitatore to give him $1 billion shillings to make a movie.
Yeah, it's also it's hard.
Could say you know the questions they'll ask, return on investment. It's complicated.
First, talk me through Afro Mobile, the whole app and the concept of vision.
Oh,
because there's TV, then I've also, because one day I was just there posting my content. Someone comes to me, oh, you should put this podcast on Afro Mobile.
So Afro Mobile is...
How does it work? Now that you're here, I don't have to make phone calls. I can just learn.
It's a content distribution platform. So we deal in audio, text, and visual. And that's distributed in different ways. There's DJ mixes, there's podcasts, there's TV, there's live TV, there's on-demand content, there's radio, and of course we're going into now and other forms of content that is available. But one of the biggest selling points, especially to the mass market, is the live TV and live radio, because like I told you earlier, a lot of people still depend on TV for information, and yes.
So it's just distributing. What does it take to get my content on there? There's a lot of people are doing podcasts. I think right now, I don't know. You qualify to be a podcaster if you passed at least 10 episodes. Okay, not like you qualify like the qualification, but there are people who just jump off. They come, they do, then they start another idea. There are others that come here because I also rent out this to other people, and they start. Then after 3 episodes, they change the whole idea.
Maybe it's not working, and I'm not against the idea of switching something if it's not working.
Yeah, I'm saying what does it take to get, and what's in for me for the creator if with Afro Mobile, what's the deal with Afro Mobile?
So how to get on? So we have what we call our standards of practice. So we have there's a document that is given to you as, let's say, a podcaster, where we have quality control measures, sound, if it's going to be video or lighting, all those things, certain language, certain things that you...
When you talk about language, then there we have to go into the business of opinion. You know, podcasts, even the most popular podcast is Joe Rogan's podcast, the most expensive, most paid. Right now he wants to go out from Spotify. I was listening to his latest episode.
I heard.
He saying that they're making him move on eggshells. They now want to censor him. They now have to point out that, hey, you say that people are reading episodes they did way back.
Yeah, but you see me.
Why do you then have a line on what should be on media and what shouldn't? In a world where there is so much information that real is...
You know, when you're driving to... when you're going to Bandali Rise, opposite Shell, before opposite. So you see that big blue building there. What is it?
UCC. But that's the thing. UCC. Okay, for TV and there's licensing involved, so the price to pay is heavy. In your podcast, you don't look at things from that angle, and you're like, no, I must have my free opinion for there. But then it changes.
I mean, I would like for you to have a free opinion and say whatever the fuck you want, but. Considering the operational costs of running it, it's your freedom of speech is important, yes, but you also have to consider that people this is people's livelihood. People are trying to make a living off of this. So yes, I would like to give you the chance to say whatever the hell you want, and of course, even the things that we limit people from saying are very limited, and we don't have a limitation on topics actually. We don't.
On just words, maybe swearing.
Yeah, like swearing. What? Because those are the standards. Because we are following UCC standards, and UCC is not telling you to not talk about this. They're just saying if you're going to talk about sex.
Until they say you shouldn't talk about stuff.
Until then, I'm not going to comment on government issues. But they are saying if you're going to talk about sex,
there should be a PG. Right now, Netflix released...
approach it like this, yes.
How now? Thank you. The sex thing is interesting. Netflix released Principles of Pleasure. It's their new... In this series, I don't know if it's a series or documentary, but I've watched episode 1, and there are vaginas in the episode. Sex education.
Yeah.
This is the most uncensored. TV can't allow that, right?
Yeah, you can't run it on TV.
But then kids have Netflix. Okay, yeah, it can be censored and stuff, but you see where there is now... It's almost... the whole concept of we are capping and we are censoring does not make sense.
But you see,
Because first of all, the information Netflix is giving in that series, it wants it to go to the young girl. It doesn't even want someone who can access this information already. They are saying this has been hidden away from people, mostly girls. The sex education. It's the first episode.
I've seen the show.
It's talking to the young one. So it's talking to that primary school child who is censored by TV from accessing information like this. And also comes the question, because the doctors were saying a lot of men were making these decisions.
Yeah.
And this is why they were locked out. Women are locked out from... And that thing
I
is
saw
really-
they talk about a timeline where
Thank you.
until about a few years ago, the
What's your
gynecologists
opinion on
were
that?
just doctors.
And censoring.
I think that it's not Netflix's job to raise your children. I think that if you don't want your child to watch something, you can prevent them from watching it.
You have nothing to do about it.
No, I mean, there is something you can do about it. But then also, when it comes to women's issues, which is a topic I avoid
A lot.
actively, like I tried not to ever have a conversation about it. How do I put this? You cannot attack somebody and then demonize them for reacting. Now, because women have been in that space for such a long time, the measures that they take to I don't want to say to compensate, to come out of that space of oppression, you might disagree with. Sometimes I also disagree with the measures, but you're not in a space to tell them how to break out of what they're doing. I have seen the show. I absolutely loved it because there are certain things I also didn't know. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's interesting.
The thing that really was very
So I
interesting
loved
to me
it.
was the virginity thing. The woman doesn't lose the virginity once, like it just...
I didn't know that.
It's a misconception that there is virginity lost and broken. A vagina operates like that over and over again. Okay, yeah, it's quite
Who
educational.
cares about virginity anyway?
I even forgot what you were telling me, but now that you mentioned that you don't just DJ, I remember that I had... How is it like working with creatives in Uganda? Is the content worth it?
There's some amazing ones, and I've worked with some absolutely amazing creators, and this is from
More like which shows? Which shows do you really know?
because from way back when we were still doing the Hub series with Chifanani Hub and whatever. Even in my day job when I was in agency, even when I went to media houses with graphics designers and videographers and producers, there are very many amazing people making amazing content in this country. Of course, there are some bad ones, and sometimes those ones get the spotlight and then they continue pushing their bad content. But well,
Are you saying it's
such
only
is the
money
country
that's
we live
in between the way of pushing the good content? That's the funding?
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes, because it costs money to brand things and create marketing campaigns and then push the content. But then also sometimes the creatives themselves do not have the knowledge, the introspection of thinking about things and saying, you know what, this is the way that we should go. So you might not have the money, yes, but even that thought of maybe that this is the direction we should be going and package this and do this and do this, you don't even have those thoughts. So sometimes, and I don't blame them. I mean, our education system is created in such a way that you do not have often the information given is very limited because they are trying to create worker bees. So
Why is there an app like Afro Mobile? What's the need for it though? Besides Netflix, because even TV itself, TVs have their apps. NBS, I think it has an app.
it hasn't.
Not anymore, but it had.
Used to, yes.
Okay.
The
So maybe
idea,
that was
the
the
idea
one,
of Afro Mobile is what is that pitch thing that my boss always uses? Is imagine you had a decoder for NBS, you had a decoder for Sanyoka, you had a decoder for NTV, you had a decoder for UBC.
There'll be too many decoders.
Yeah, so it's kind of ridiculous for people to have an app for every TV station, because brand loyalty, especially when it comes to TVs, has dropped significantly in the last 30 years. People come on UBC, they watch a particular show, they leave. They go to NTV, watch a particular show, they leave. They go to KBS, they watch a particular show, they leave. So the idea of Afro Mobile is to provide that convenience of simply switch between this channel and that one and that one and the other one. That's the basic idea of it, and it plays on our generation's biggest. Is it USP? Is it a commodity? I don't know what it is, but every single thing that we have created in the last 20 years or so, and what we call technological advancement, does one thing and only one thing: convenience.
Oh, so how is it possible that other media houses are willing to get onto the Afro Mobile app?
Why wouldn't they be willing to get onto the app?
Because one, it's giving
There
power.
you go again with your narrative.
It's giving power elsewhere. But interesting. Do you guys really download applications though?
Yeah, I do.
But
I'm against the
I've also
idea.
seen-
I'm against the idea of everything needs an app. But,
Yeah, me too.
But
Because now I have a
but it's not
DSTV
just
app
there's
that's-
not just
because
an
again
app.
the market you're appealing to is the market that can afford to have DSTV in my opinion.
Yeah.
Afro Mobile.
Yeah, but we also have a web version, so you can go to afromobile.com and watch the shows from there. So you don't have to download the app if you don't want to.
I see that works, but I am still seeing that all these things are centered in a world that now has Netflix, HBO. My phone I have Netflix and HBO. I have DSTV now.
Which is okay. I mean,
What would I have?
which is okay, but
More filtered
you
content.
see, DSTV is not.
Done out. I don't use it.
Yeah, but you see, is Netflix doing a live stream of Olanya's Barry? No, they're not. So, like I said earlier, everything has a function to it, and like I said,
I see.
one is not a competition of the other. That's why it's like, podcasts are going to come through and take away radio. I'm like, hello.
At some point,
That's
I
not
remember
going to happen.
I was telling you Spotify is going to remove the no more DJ in the bar. Because you know Spotify brings in where you go to a house party and you can connect.
Yeah, it can, but you see, often at house parties, the music is background noise. It's this guy is hitting on that girl, these guys are doing shots. What the music is just ambience. The difference is in a bar, the music is the
bar,
thing,
is
it's
the
the bar,
happening,
it's like
yeah.
the vibe. And AI is really good, yes, but there's that human element, like you said earlier, of reading the crowd of, man, these guys don't like this cut track. Yeah, let me cut and
Let
go
me
to
go
the next
into
one.
something else.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't, and as much as I love Spotify and Apple Music and the rest, I don't think that in the next 30 or 50 years, I don't see them replacing DJs.
In the creative space, what legacy are you looking at? Creating and leaving? This is usually my last question, but probably second last. Legacy, in terms of, for you, what is your dream?
I don't have grand dreams.
No, like grand dreams, but legacy of, you know what? This is what I want. You've gone through the agencies, you've gone to media houses, you're now into tech. You're like, significance. We don't have to do a statue of you, but you just know that.
I like to see that one. Probably have a very big head.
That's yeah, because of me, some of this, okay, it doesn't really have to be tied to you, but your contribution to the creative space. That's something you feel like this should change, and maybe I will change it. So, whatever else your legacy could be.
For music and DJing in particular, I want DJs to be comfortable enough to play what they want, what the music that they believe in, without being forced into what I call quote unquote pop music. Pop music is quite a wide term, but basically it's just popular music. And one, be comfortable enough to play what they believe they should play, and then second, be paid for it.
When you say that, Chidandali culture, in a country like ours, I've seen the conversation of pop up on TL, and we shall not run away from it now that you're here. the conversation comes, people are saying, people love it. We've had 2 sets of DJ come around here to play piano, and they've had very good crowds. So that's testimony that people really fuck with it. And a lot of people, house parties I've seen, the ones I've been to personally, there's piano playing with the people. I don't know if it's just my type of crowd, but yeah, like still Sunaben has 1,000 numbers people don't get. So it's something. But how do you... I probably asked the question already. The Chidandali culture of, you know what, these are popular songs, they must be played. Oh, and that is what even the creatives are looking for. To make a hit song.
I've always told people, man, a creative's biggest craving is attention. Money is often second to that. The amapiano scene in Uganda, I don't know, man. It's definitely stayed longer than other genres. I mean, when Gom was here, it was also a disease.
I remember EDM at some point.
Destruction.
People felt like, yeah, they would be EDM.
Personally, I don't play amapiano. I do appreciate though what the people who started out with the disciples and whoever have been able to do with it. I mean, it's becoming an international phenomenon, something that started out in the real ghetto in Soweto. As for the culture of amapiano in Uganda, I think some people like it, some people don't. But it's a general thing with anything. I mean, some people like reggae, some people don't. Some people like Shiba, Blaze doesn't. It is what it is. And I don't.
You know, it's 2 things with Shiba. Okay, not like Shiba in particular.
Let me finish. I don't believe in the idea that people are being quote unquote force-fed on piano, because very many of the DJs, like 80% of the DJs in Kampala are quote unquote crowd pleasers. So they are definitely playing to
please the crowd.
To please the crowd. So, and if he played it last night and people were jamming, and he's playing it again and people are jamming, you, the 1 or 2, 3 people who don't like it, are the outliers. I mean, if they are keeping on playing it,
crowd
people love it.
Yeah. Music is interesting.
So is it going to stay long? Is it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
In the creative section is why aren't people giving creations? You remember, like for music, Paul Cafero, when you go to a studio, you will tell his story and the attachment
15 minutes
to it.
of a song?
Yeah, but besides it being just lengthy, Eminem has Lose Yourself. It's not as lengthy as, but you still see that he gets a song time. Oh, it's speaking to Chameleon. Eminem is too far.
Palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, the vomit on his sweater already, man's spaghetti, he's nervous.
It's some crazy shit. But okay, Chameleon as well. As when I was listening to the Tusker conversations, I realized the depth of the rumors behind the whole Daniela situation into the song Forever. Then I related to the songs he chose to play, and I really saw that, okay, he's actually telling the breakup story. In my mind, I don't know if that's how people really feel about his performance. But people don't want... Maybe it's the fame, maybe it's the what, but people don't give... You don't feel like... No new song comes out and you feel like, you know what, this guy gave me time. Kudos to hip-hop. I like The Myth, not because he's my friend, but I like his album. When you feel to the Ugandan, you will see that there was some really amount of time dedicated into
for all those girls whose hearts he has broken. It's a toxic music. He's gonna be mad about that one.
All this good music is toxic. What's wrong with people want?
Nah. That album is bare toxic, man.
It's the thing
and Tom, I have said it, mate, but not Mark. Me, I've said it's toxic, and Billy will agree with me. I don't agree that
people are not giving time.
That people are not giving it time. I mean, everything doesn't have to be deep, and sometimes it's just a vibe. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Sometimes the story is, man, to against them, this connect to Chikuba. That is the story, which is okay. And it's just that people say
Kenneth
that,
Mugabe.
Yeah, beautiful Nava, Greg, Cohen, JC, freaking Valerie or whoever. What I am saying is people are not looking hard enough for music. You're going to your Apple Music and you're playing the same 10 songs that you've been playing for. I don't even know why you have it. You could just download the music but take the time, look at curated playlists. People are making amazing music. One of my favorite albums in recent times is Everything Is For Sale by Boogie. From start to end, beautiful album, the way he put it together. It's amazing to listen to. And listen to Cohen JC's Wena too. I think it's called it The Experience. I don't remember. Amazingly put together. But you're going to go and listen to Mbozi Zaku Today Nkondo every day from start to end, which, again, love Gravity, amazing guy. But
are you just saying that? But Gravity is an amazing guy. Me, I'm a big fan.
I've never met the man, but I'm trying not to
be
in any situations. His
I
friends.
didn't listen to this, but okay.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, and even Zaku Today Nkondo has a place in the industry, and sometimes they play it and it bangs, it slaps. It is what it is. I mean, I just think that you shouldn't go to the bar expecting to listen to
specifics.
Yeah, like stories, and you're there to have a good time. Just do that. Leave when you wanna listen to something deeper, something that's going to speak to your soul. Utilize your streaming apps.
Creative management is that being done right? Creatives mostly artists here.
I mean, most people are choosing their friends and relatives,
and not the business side.
I mean, so
because it's cheaper.
It's a trust thing, Mom. It's often not about the money, because even those people are paid, but it's a trust thing. It works for Burna Boy because his mom has been in the industry for the longest time. I mean, from way back then when his grandfather was managing Fela Kuti and whoever. She's been around the industry long enough, so she has the experience to guide him. But often for other people, you peak and then now your uncle is...
What entails managing an artist? It's something I want to venture into, because a lot of them come around here. Now I'm also really doing cheap stuff, trying to get out there. So I have artists come around here, do stuff. You really see that maybe I have guys that have come in here and they have real hardcore talent from the ghettos and uptown. Still, you really see that maybe this guy is really good if you put in a few cash. What does it entail to manage an artist?
For me personally, I see it in three ways. So there's ops, there's PR, marketing, branding, and then there's the finance management. So ops is day to day. He has a show here, make sure he gets there. What will he wear? Of course, now that also feeds into branding and whatever. What will he wear? Make sure he has slept the night before the show, or if he went out, he didn't go past the thingy. Make sure he has a vocal coach. Schedule studio time, blah, blah, blah. Then finance is how you pay for everything. When you get money and put it here, how do you make sure URA gets their cut and dealing with all those things? And then brand PR, this is managing social media, dealing with whatever. So then these other two arms, ops and finance, can deal with promoters and bookings. And
a lot of artists have struggled with management here. Even the branding itself. Spice Diana branded out very well. I've seen this. She will change, even if she would just come on this podcast, she would change the whole environment. I've been in crowds where she would come and she has all these lights, camera going on just for this.
That's a brand. I mean, she has
so it's something. How come people don't have that? And because I don't believe she has the most money.
Table money again. It's really a thing of people
Ignorance.
don't understand the value of branding yourself as a human being. As not as a human being, but as a creative, as an act. And people think of it as get a logo or take a few pictures, and it's not just that. It's the way you speak. It breaks down into tone of voice. When you're talking on social media,
what are you saying?
Your posters, what colors do they have? I've seen artists with whole brand manuals where, because Mwami Media is also a booking agency, so you saying it's like you never place the picture.
Wait, you have an agency itself, Mwami Media.
We are talent management and booking agency basically.
Okay.
So it's a whole thing of when you're placing his picture, you have to place it on this side, never color grade, never change the colors to be any different than the way of taking a picture, but all these different things, because it feeds into the whole thing of consistency of when you see a musician here and there. There's a sort of, there might be different images or different posters, but you can see the correlation and see that there's a sort of line he's towing with it.
Interesting. I don't think I can ask you any more things. You've told me what I need to know in the music, and really, thank you.
All right.
Hey, for coming around. If you have anything else to add on to this, maybe. Besides that, that's been good. Great.
One more thing. Kampala women and Kampala men deserve themselves. Stop complaining and just